Hello, welcome to an episode of News Dash where two full-time realtors become part-time newscasters. So today we are Lucas in the house.
Hi guys.
So today we'll be touching on a few topics from HDB reaching a new heights again at Pinnacle at Duxton, all the way to declining residential rents, increasing retail rents, as well as something interesting coming up, a Long Island reclamation.
Yes, that's right. So moving into the first news of the week, Pinnacle at Duxton breaking new records again for a 4-room flat, and this time at $1.41 million.
Yeah, so people are always like, at 1.41, you can enter into I would say private market to get a condo. But of course, you wouldn't be able to get the prime area as well as the space that will provide you.
Yes, for 1.4 in this area, I think it's a slightly older condo, maybe a two-bedroom.
Yeah, about 667 square feet, 700 square feet.
Definitely nowhere near the 40th floor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so definitely you're paying for the view right here, right? And I mean, I think these kind of news keep coming up where there's $1 million HDB flats and all that. And this actually makes people very pessimistic about the HDB market.
But
all HDB flats are $1 million. No.
It doesn't represent, it's not an overall representation, because I think it's only these transactions that actually appear on the news, but there are many others behind the scene that, are more regularly priced, but they just don't make the hit. They don't make the hit for like news articles.
Yes. And I'm very surprised at Pinnacle last night. I mean, it's not like a brand new HDB.
Yes.
Right? And it's about 20 years already, and it's still consistently making like headlines.
Yeah. So as compared to the last, the highest transacted was at 1.37 million, and that was last year in October. But that one was a lower floor, about 28th to 30th floor, and the one that has just recently hit a new record is on a much higher 46th floor.
Yeah, and if you think about it, it's not that far away from a 5-room flat at Duxton, because the last record price was just done in August, right? And that's the 28th to 30th floor.
Yeah.
And that was sold at 1.48. So for $70,000 more, 10 floors lower, but you can live in a 5-room flat.
Yeah, so I think with all this, sometimes the government that's why you see government coming in to try and cool the HDB market also, because they always say that HDBs are always affordable housing. But when people see these kind of $1 million housing, they kind of question, is that like really the case?
Yes, and now we kind of can almost clearly see why they have to kind of create that PLH model.
Yeah,
right. Otherwise,
prime
you'll
housing.
Continue to have these kind of record prices across Singapore.
People actually flip for profits.
Yes. Yeah. Right, so moving into the next news, private residential rent is expected to decline in 2024. Yeah, so great news for a lot of people.
For those people who are looking around, because we've been hearing of rental increasing, and on the ground it just becomes a little bit unaffordable for young couples who need their own space, but haven't bought their first house. And now that we are seeing rent actually decline, and I think there are a couple of reasons that we're looking at this happening also.
Yeah, so the decline in rents have been attributed to the uncertain economic outlook. That's one, right? High inflation, a weakening labor market, and also an increased supply of completed homes. And that's something, we have a lot of newly TOP projects coming up. You can see
like Park Clementi's 1,000 over units, Normanton Park 1,000 over units, and that's when you see a lot of people have started to collect their keys, because I think previously there were a lot of young couples that have bought their houses, they're waiting for their keys, and that's when they have to kind of rent the in-between timings. But now that they've collected their keys, this group kind of dropped. Like the demand from this group actually drops.
Yes. So whether we're talking about like Tampines Treasure, Treasure at Tampines, or Florence Residences, right? No matter whether you have a 2-room, 3-room, or 4-room for rent, you're going to be seeing like competition of like 30 or 40 other units being listed alongside.
Because it's such a huge development. And I think when, landlord just wants the unit out, that's when they kind of get their prices a little bit more realistic as compared to maybe a year ago, where, there were more tenants in the market looking, and you see like 10 groups competing for a single unit. You kind of see the thing kind of slowly reversing right now. Yeah.
So just to be clear, right now rents has kind of stabilized. I would not say it has dropped yet. Because the rent expectation by landlords actually is still pretty high. Yeah. But in terms of actual volume, right, the residential leasing market has declined by 9.8% year on year since the last quarter.
Yep. So if you went actually took a look at the EP passes that have been approved, there hasn't actually been a decline since last year. So I would say that most of it would have been coming from the decrease in demand due to the TOP units also.
Yeah, that's right. And if you look at the rental index, right, there has been not a significant decrease, in fact, no decrease, because it's actually increased by 0.2% since the third quarter. Yeah. So despite a 10% year-on-year decline in rents, the report suggests a 10% year-on-year rise due to a strong showing in the first half of the year.
Yeah, so I think in Singapore, Singaporean landlords kind of hold the prices pretty well.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say that they would drop their prices severely just to get the unit rented out, because I think ultimately they still have the holding power. So yes, we would see the rental market kind of slow down a little bit, but we wouldn't expect too much or too big of a decline in the rent prices also.
Yes. So that's because, that is why analysts, right, they are saying that when they're not expecting a big drop in rental price in 2024.
Give a slight correction.
A 5% decline. Okay, 5% is not much, but at least the market is correcting itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is all like a cycle, right? Because of all the new TOP projects that have been completed during this season. That's why the rental market is kind of like evening out right now, right? But in 2025, right, 2 years from now, we are expecting quite a number of new of land sales that's going to be happening, right, in 2025. Right, so look out for that, and we will definitely have an investment series up on what to look out for the new launches and whatnot. Yeah. So let's move on to the retail market. Orchard Road retail rents are projected to grow by 6%.
So the opposite of what we're looking at in the residential market.
Yes, that's right. So ever since COVID, right, I think we saw a emptying out of Orchard Road.
Yes, but
businesses,
things are kind of getting back on track and kind of growing pretty well.
Yes, especially now it's Christmas season coming up, right? I mean, Black Friday, I actually didn't see much.
You shop a lot.
Online.
Yeah. I think a lot of things have been shifted online, like Shopee, Lazada.
Yeah, so Orchard Road has improved in the past few months because of the return of tourism, right? And people going back to Orchard Road to do shopping. So retail rents are expected to increase by 6%, right? And another growth of 3 to 5% towards the end of the year.
But I think what we are also continuing to see is that central locations like CBD or Orchard continue to see healthy demand from overseas retailers like franchise. They are looking to open their first Singapore outlet, because that's when they need the I would say they need the advertising, they need the human traffic to actually bring these crowds to their store. And usually they'll kind of pick a central location when overseas franchise or overseas brands want to open their first outlets in Singapore.
Yes. So I must say, on the ground, 2 years ago, I could still see like Orchard Road, CBD area at least, being rented out at like $10 to $15 per square foot. Right now, there's a 1.4% quarter-on-quarter rise already to $22 per square foot.
So almost double. I mean, like, it has really doubled in terms of the pricing since COVID prices.
Yes. So, recovery in tourism is expected to continue. Yeah.
And I think Orchard Road, if you compare it across the world, it's I think it ranks 12 in the most expensive street in the entire world as compared to, like New York's Fifth Avenue, as well as Hong Kong's Tsim Sha Tsui.
Yeah.
Did I pronounce that correctly?
I think so. Tsim Sha Tsui. Tsim Sha Tsui.
Yes.
So, of course, there are new projects that are expected to complete in Marina Square, Forum, and even Harbourfront Centre. Yeah.
Yes.
So, once all these are completed and the space is rejuvenated, right, rents are still continuing to increase as well. Yeah. So, moving on to the last news of our week. Something very exciting. Very long-term.
Long Island Reclamation Project.
Yes. So, Long Island. Interesting. I don't think that's going to be the final name. But Long Island is more accurately described as 3 Long Islands. Right? Because it's going to be 3 islands.
Yep, and it's going to potentially span around 800 hectares, which is nearly twice the size of Marina Bay.
Yeah.
So a lot of potential in the area, but of course it's going to be a very long-term kind of plan that is still, I think, in the initial stage of planning also.
Yes, and this was announced by Desmond, right? Our Minister for National Development.
Yeah.
Right? And this 800 hectares is nearly twice the size of Marina Bay. That's amazing. 3 islands, right? Right now it's still in initial discussions, but it's going to be like 3 very separate purposes. Yeah. So one island is going to be for like residential, mostly residential. Then in the middle island is going to be about recreation. And the final island, they are considering even industries.
So I think in terms of residential, it's gonna bring about 30 to 60,000 new homes, which is a lot. But of course, it's not going to be a 3-5 year kind of thing, because I think within the next 5 years, only technical studies will actually assess the full feasibility of this project. And then it will take, decades, maybe 20 years or so to actually fulfill the entire plan.
Yes, that's right. So of course, it's going to cost, I don't know. Imagine all the people living East Coast Park right now.
Yeah.
You bought it for the view. Right. Instead of a sea view, now you're going to have a reservoir view.
Yeah.
Right? Because the water catchment area in the middle of the 3 islands flanking East Coast Park, in that middle is going to be a freshwater catchment. Yeah, so you're going to have a reservoir view, you're going to have developments blocking your view.
So good and bad. I mean, you can say that the place is transformed, but of course, some developments are going to be affected in terms of whatever unblocked views they actually have now.
Yes, and imagine you're going to be facing 20 years of construction. Okay, but no worries, right? We actually expect, aside from like Singapore's real estate market naturally increasing anyway, right? All this development is actually expected to increase the prices of even the East Coast Park area units significantly, because once the island is built up, right, and the developments are there, there's actually going to be expected to have en bloc on the East Coast Park area. Right?
I think it's similar to Marina area. If you were to compare all the way before, all the transformation happened, it's very different to as where it is today because of all the offices that have come up, all the residential properties that have come up also. So I think in the long term, it's going to be something that will really change the entire area of the East Coast Park also.
And of course, building so much land on our coastal line is going to affect our environment quite a lot. Yeah, so the Nature Society of Singapore actually has a lot of environmental concerns, right? But the government is, of course, working with Nature Society of Singapore and also the store owners, the bicycle rental shops, the canoe rental shops,
a lot of people will
even
be
the hawker center. Yeah. So tourism is expected, or visitors are expected to decrease in East Coast Park during the whole construction phase, right? So of course the hawkers are very concerned, right? Because I'm sure rental there is not cheap.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a very nice. We were there.
But they will be affected once this whole thing. I think the people that will visit the area will also kind of decline also.
Yeah. So over the next 5 years, that shows how much the government is actually taking this very seriously, right? 5 years of review sessions with all these commercial tenants.
They make sure everything is in place before they actually even start to embark on this new project.
Yeah, and actually there's a lot of opportunity here because once when they're building up the islands, they actually have a chance to create artificial mangroves and bring new kind of wildlife or even preserve the wildlife over there in a more controlled manner. Yeah. Right. So that's going to be very interesting and is the news we have for you today.
Yeah, so if you're interested, we do have a QR code that we're going to link it down below where you can join our Telegram chat where we actually update all this news as well as some discounts sometimes on our partners. So if you're interested, do join us in our Telegram chat. And I think that's all that we have for today.
Yes.
So we'll see you next time. This is Grace.
This is Lucas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.